Hi, I'm Adam from Studios, and I'm here to show you what you can do with the Forgotten Waveshaper 2. The Forgotten Waveshaper 2 is a multiband distortion device that gives you a lot of control over how the distortion sounds. Let's listen to a clean drum loop I've pulled from the recent drum library. We can add distortion to this by changing the wave shape of the Waveshape module down here. Let's level match. I like the sound of the distortion, it's definitely fatter, but I think the kick should be clean, so I add a crossover to separate the low end from the fundamental of the snare. Much better. I also think the hi-hats don't need this kind of added grittiness from the distortion, so I add a crossover to separate the high end from the mid-frequency band. You can hear how now mostly the snare is being distorted. The sound is definitely fatter. You can achieve a similar result by using the same wave shape, but only a single frequency band. Of course, now everything is being distorted, so we use the dynamic section to let the wave shape react dynamically to the input signal. We can use this to separate the kick and the snare. Adjust attack and release times. And now you can hear how most of the kick and snare are being distorted and the hi-hats are left clean. You can see the controls on here are similar to a compressor. And in fact, you can actually build your own compressor by choosing full clipping, adding 1 point, placing it fully to the side, and at the moment it's just a volume change. A static volume change, I should say, because you can make it dynamic by using the dynamic section. You can adjust attack and release, and ratio. You're not limited to a compressor, however. You can also make it an expander by using the invert switch here. Of course, you can also add more points to make the compression a bit more interesting, or use curves even. Okay, let's move on to a different drum loop. As you can hear, this drum loop has a lot more room reverb in it, which is great for showing you what the mid-side mode does. In mid-side mode, you can distort the mid channel and the side channel individually by using the pan knob, which pans the distortion. It does not pan the signal. So if you turn the pan knob fully to the right, which is the right channel is the side channel in this configuration, you can just distort the side channel. So let's do that. You can hear how the side signal, the out of phase signal, is being amplified. And you get this kind of inside out effect, especially if you're wearing headphones. So if you loudness match this, and compare. You get an interesting effect. And actually, we're not limited to one waveshape module. You can also add more waveshape modules, and use this waveshape module to distort just the mid channel. And let's use a different distortion to not always use the same type. Oh yeah, we're in parallel mode at the moment. So go to serial mode. So both are being processed. You can hear how this distortion only affects the mid channel. If we change the configuration from mid side to left right, you can hear how the distortion for the left channel is different from the right. The left channel, actually the right channel is this distortion. The left channel is this distortion. Of course, you can also do this for specific frequency bands. So if you want to have the kick clean again, just insert a crossover and you're fine. You're not limited to distorting drums, obviously. You can also do this for other types of instruments or vocals. This vocal is very processed already. It has auto-tune, compression, EQ, whatever you need. But we can add more grittiness to this, which I think fits this type of vocal. I'd like to use the S-curve for this because it, for one, adds distortion, adds crossover distortion, and secondly, adds a type of clipping maybe.
Flossen schon so viele Tränen, ich hab dafür geblutet.
You don't need to go this extreme. I think for this vocal, a slight, like, crunch is enough.
Dafür gekämpft, doch hab bis heute noch keinen einzigen Cent. Rap ist alles, was ich hab, alles, was ich will. Vielleicht bin ich dumm und ich bin in meinem Film. Ich wollte nur Respekt für das, was ich mach, doch wurde von so vielen Menschen gehasst.
This gives the vocal a bit more aggression, which is great for this type of rap vocal, I think. You can also put this on the master, obviously. So if you just like to distort your mix just a little bit, great application. Okay, lastly, I'd like to show you what you can do if you really get into what this device can do. We have a guitar loop here, accompanied by some drums. I like my guitars distorted, so let's do just that. Let's choose maybe some analog saturation. Level match as always. I like the sound the guitar has, but I think it fights with the kick for space. I could just add a sidechain compressor, so add a compressor and sidechain the signal of the kick. And this works fine. The guitar ducks out of the way when the kick hits, but we can do this with a lot more style. So remove the compressor and connect the kick signal to the dynamic sidechain input instead. Now, if we engage the dynamic section, we can hear how the distortion changes when a kick hits. At the moment, it's the exact opposite of what I want. At the moment, it distorts when the kick hits and doesn't when it doesn't hit. So let's use the invert button. And I'd like to make this a bit more tight, so I like it to react more quickly. Lower the attack, and it decays too slowly, so I turn down the release. Now it's really aggressive and really quick, so I think maybe using a low ratio will help adjust that. I think this adds the space a lot more naturally. So yeah, this is basically it, but we've only gotten started. We haven't yet talked about mixing different curves, so you have 3 curves that you can mix. We have added points, but we have not yet talked that you can also change these curves and can change the curve type on a curve-to-curve basis. You can do whatever you want. You can change the direction of the curves. You have multiple controls, so have these 2 curves on react to this knob and the middle curve react to this knob, and so on. You can move the points. You have different algorithms for the movement. So maybe for root, you can also change the algorithm on a point-to-point basis. So if you like automation, this is a great way to go about it. And we've only used symmetric mode up until now. Symmetric mode actually adds odd order harmonics, and if you want even order harmonics as well, we need to use asymmetric mode, which lets me change the left side of the wave shape individually. So we get the even order harmonics as well. And of course, we have clipping. We have wave shape mimicking, which is really cool when you have multiple wave shapes. And of course, it's only just one wave shape. You have up to 8 wave shapes available and up to 4 frequency bands. So you can really do whatever you want. Now it's time for you to get creative.